Shalom and welcome to Practical Spirituality here in Esha Torah, the old city of Jerusalem, overlooking the Temple Mount. I just want to start with a story. Even though we're doing Mind Expanded, I just want to start with a funny story that it just has to do with buying new mountain bikes. So I was visiting LA for a while as a rabbi, and so I decided I'm going to sell my old rig and buy a new one out in America where I could probably get the latest technology. So, of course, in the Jewish network, put the word out, Rabbi Yom Tov needs a mountain bike. Within literally hours, I find out that the editor of Mountain Biking magazine, a guy by the name of Chris Ito, is selling the bike that he traded after test riding it. He traded advertisement for the actual test ride bike because it was such an insane bike that he's like, I gotta have this bike. So he actually kept it and just gave them like a couple grand worth of advertisement, $2 grand worth of advertisement for free. Now, what happened was I get a phone call saying there is a bike available. That's a brand new bike. It's only been test ridden. And it's like the cutting edge bike. And I wish I could remember the name of that bike. It was called a Wild Hare was the model. Can't remember the name. And it was CycleWorks with a P, which is good for me. So CycleWorks Wild Hare. And anyway, so I go to pick up the bike, and the guy wants $2 grand for a $4,000 bike. So I hand him the $2 grand as quickly as I can. I'm like stuffing the bike in my car before he changes his mind. Like this is a dream come true. I was expecting to spend like $4 on this level bike, but the guy wanted $2. So I was like, he just needed it out of his house quickly, and which was good for me, but I was just afraid he was changing his mind. So I'm stuffing it in my car. I'm finally getting in the car, and he's like, Rabbi, and I'm like, what? Like, I was about to zoom out of there. He's like, can I just ask you a question? I said, yeah, what's the question? He says, I'm married to a Jewish girl. This guy's name's Chris Ito, okay? Married to a Jewish girl. And I'm like, I'm sorry to hear that. And he says, I said, what's the problem? He says, you see the edge of my house over there? And it was like draped with like plastic rainproof stuff. I said, yeah. He said, yeah, we did a little add-on, and I ran out of money. And, so I just put on the rain protection until I get more money. But my wife, she said, how dare you bring this bike into this house before you finish the add-on? It's Mir the bike. And then he breaks down crying, like right on the street, right outside my car. He breaks down crying. He says, you gotta tell me something about being married to a Jewish woman, because I can't take it anymore. Like, Gentile women don't say these things, in the middle of an add-on. Nor do observant Jewish women say these things. This is left only to secular Jewish women to say such things as me or the bike. I mean, every Jewish woman is hardwired to thrash her husband. It's just that if the girl's observant, she thrashes you for like stuff that's important. Like the fact that you came home for Shabbos after a week of work and you don't even know what parsha it is. You better wear a helmet. Coming into that house. You're gonna come home not knowing what parsha it is to your Jewish wife who's observant. They'll thrash for that. I mean, you didn't go to Shachris 3 days in a row. Forget that. Or you're YouTubing crazy stuff for your kids' enjoyment, while she's the one creating this home, this sanctuary, this godly place for your family, and you just can't stop YouTubing like stupid stuff just to keep your kids entertained. You're gonna get thrashed. So Jewish women are born to thrash their husbands, but if they don't have Torah, so they just thrash you for random stuff. You just get thrashed for like really random stuff. and that's really bad news too, because men who have realized that it was the Jewish thing that caused them to be thrashed growing up by their rough mother and stuff, like a Jewish mother is thrashy. If a man realizes that, and he's secular, so he doesn't care that much about marrying a Jew, well, he'd be crazy to marry one. Why marry a Jew? I'm not that observant. I'm not that into it. I'm not living that life. And I can marry a woman who actually appreciates that I got home versus one who's asking me why I got home so late. I mean, you marry an Asian, they're just happy you came home. Could be 3 weeks later. You didn't even know where you were. But you came home. I mean, it seems like half the Jews I meet in LA are like married to their massage therapist. And hence, mix that with feminism, hence we got female rabbis, female cantors, female presidents of synagogues. I mean, whoever heard of that? Female Torah readers, female circumcisers. What are they thinking, all these girls all of a sudden thinking that they're going to do all the leadership roles in Judaism? The answer is, it's either them or nobody. And Jewish women aren't going to let our people die. And so they step up to clergy roles and leadership roles in the Jewish world, because if it were for the secular Jewish men, if they had it their way, they would surgically reinstall their foreskins. Anyway, I held this crying mountain bike magazine editor. Let him cry on my shoulder. And he finally asked me for advice. I was like, divorce? He's like, well, I didn't expect the rabbi to say divorce. And I'm like, well, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, today's our, do you want me to go back to mind expansion, or I could always change the title and stay on this focus? I mean, you guys like this focus, or yeah, keep cruising on this? Does someone have a question at this point? Question? Okay. We're going back to mind expansion. The question is, do I dare stop the video on this subject, retitle, and start again? What do you say?
Yeah, just keep going.
Because it's a nice clip. What? It's a nice clip, right? My class, everyone tells me my classes are way too long, but don't worry, I'm not going to title the next one. I'm just going to